Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is our daily show giving you all the latest news from the world of movies with insight into what it all means. Joining me as always is AMC's Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. I make my triumphant return like Pompey, nay Caesar himself, ascending over the 7 hills around Rome. I throw feathers at my feet. So yeah, I've spent like 11 of the last 15 days in Vegas for various conferences, whatever. I've never thought I'd say I'm completely Vegased out, but I'm completely Vegased out. Very glad to be back.
And also joining us is the Associate Editor of AMC Movie News, Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose Eisenbach, I botched your name.
You did. Hi there. John, we missed you.
Yeah, you did a very good job with the show while I was gone.
Thank you.
Very good job with the show while I was gone.
I'm not going to lie, though. I really missed your very odd and quirky intros. I don't know what I've done without those.
I know what you're talking about. This is how I talk every day.
Hail Caesar!
Ooh. For several years now, there have been attempts to reboot the 1994 Brandon Lee film The Crow with little success. Recently, X-Men First Class star James McAvoy was said to be in talks to be the title role, but that talk ended. Now it's being reported that Thor and Avengers star Tom Hiddleston is in talks to star in the remake, and a deal is close to being made. John, what would you think of Tom Hiddleston playing the lead role in The Crow?
All for it. The funny thing is I love James McAvoy. I think he's fantastic, but I didn't quite see him as in that film. I didn't see him in filling the shoes of Lee. Not that he was trying to replace Lee, but taking it on. I just didn't see it for him. And to be honest with you, in several discussions I've had with people about the potential remake, I've had a very difficult time picturing anybody.
Yeah.
Until I read Tom Hiddleston. I'm like, yes, this would be, I think, an inspired choice to play this role. He's definitely got the look. I think he's definitely got the talent. I think physically he's going to be able to pull something like this off. I think he certainly has a great following right now. I'd say he's even more popular than James McAvoy right now. This is the first name I've ever heard mentioned that made me suddenly throw a switch with me and go, yeah, this can work. This can be a good move. So I'd be all for it, Amy Rose.
I mean, the first question is, should they remake it? And I don't think they should. Now that has been said, do you really think that Tom Hiddleston is Professor X Loki is more popular? I don't know. I think James McAvoy is an amazing actor. I also love Tom. I think he's really good as Loki. And The Crow is dark. So if someone is going to do it, I do think he would do a really good job at it. I think he's a very dynamic actor. And, it does feel like a better fit than McAvoy, even though I'm a really big fan of his. And I don't know if you've seen Danny Boyle's Trance yet. Have you?
Not yet, no.
That was definitely a different role for McAvoy, and I think he continues to just show us his range, and he's really talented. But for a dark movie like The Crow, I do think Hiddleston is a better fit.
As you all remember, last week the first pics of Jamie Foxx as Electro were released online from the upcoming The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This week, new pictures from the set have come out, giving us our first look at Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon prior to his Electro transformation, and actor James Doohan as Norman Osborn. Amy Rose, as we start to get a glimpse of these guys in character, how do you feel about Doohan and Foxx joining Spider-Man?
I'm really excited about it. Dane DeHaan's actually Harry Osborn, not Norman.
Right.
But yeah, I think he's such a good actor. Chronicle really took me by storm. He was also great in Lawless. He's a really good actor, and I think he's going to be great as Harry, and I'm really looking forward to seeing his evolution to the dark side. Spoiler alert. And, Jamie Foxx as Electro, I definitely, when I first saw the modernized look of his pictures, not as Max as Electro after the transformation, I do think it's going to be cool, especially with, the CG feel that they're going to add to it after. I think it's a really cool way. I mean, we always know they take liberties to make it feel more modern, and sometimes it doesn't work. But in this case, I think it's going to be good. And, Jamie Foxx is a really good actor. So I think that everything I've seen about The Amazing Spider-Man to date, too, it's going to be really good. I think Mark Webb knows what he's doing. So I'm excited.
I'm just trying to picture about how hokey and stupid this would all look if he was wearing the yellow lightning bolts on his head and suit and whatever. Yeah, I was personally, I'm still a little bit on the fence. about how I like the look of Electro, but it's growing on me a lot.
Me too.
And, you know, and a lot of the readers, a lot of you guys commented on the video saying, hey, don't forget, they're probably going to do a lot of post-production as well. Like, his blue skin is going to be a perfect kind of palette to add effects to him as he's doing it. And you're absolutely right. I think that is the way they're going to go, and I think it's going to look great. I'm so glad you mentioned Lawless, because when we talk about Dahan, and this is really my fault, we normally just fall back to talking about Chronicle, because he was so mind-numbingly brilliant.
He was great
in Chronicle. He carried that movie, and it's a great movie on its own, but he was so spectacular in it, and I think he even one-upped himself in Lawless.
He was so good in
I
Lawless.
think the character's name was Cricket in it.
Yes.
He played that character so well. I bought into him so much, and I love this look. With him as Harry Osborn, I love this look. So I'm still very big on Jamie Foxx playing Electro, playing Max, and I'm just more and more falling in love with the idea of Dahan playing Harry Osborn. And these pictures just enforce that even more.
Actor-director Ben Stiller recently revealed during an encounter with Roger Ebert that the famed critic apologized to him about his overly harsh review of Stiller's 2001 comedy Zoolander. In his review, Ebert wrote, "There have been articles lately asking why the United States is so hated in some parts of the world." Ebert wrote in a review published September 28, 2001, "As this week's Exhibit A from Hollywood, I offer Zoolander, a comedy about a plot to assassinate the Prime Minister of Malaysia because of his opposition to child labor. You might want to read that sentence twice." Ebert explained to Stiller that it was a crazy time. 9/11 had just happened and everyone's, including his emotions, were running high. John, do you think film critics should ever apologize for negative reviews?
No. Never, ever, ever should a film critic apologize for a negative review. It is their job to watch reviews and give their honest opinion. That being said, there is a line between giving your opinion on a film and then recognizing that you said something far too harsh that was beyond the scope of just giving your review, your opinion of a movie, when you realize that you were being influenced by something external. In Ebert's case, look, 9/11 had just happened, everybody's tensions are running high, and he saw a movie he really didn't like, and he started saying things like, this is the type of reason why people in the rest of the world don't like us. That's out of bounds a little bit. And so I actually really, it makes me admire Roger Ebert even more to being big enough to go up to a filmmaker and say, hey, look, I may not have liked your movie, but as it turns out, he began to like Zoolander more and more. I love Zoolander, personally. But I think it was really big of Ebert to go up to him and say, look, I realize now that I was my tensions were really high during that entire time. I did this. There's a big difference. Look, I have a friend of mine who, in this business, who wrote a review about a particular movie, and I won't mention which one it was, and likened the filmmaker unto a child molester. He said, that's how bad the film is. Like, now, he meant it to be funny. He clearly didn't mean to insinuate that this guy is literally, this filmmaker is as guilty and as horrible of a human being as a child molester.
That's pretty harsh.
But you got to be careful when you start throwing shit. Look, I'll sit here and say, like I did last week, M. Night Shyamalan's, and Shyamalan is a term of endearment, by the way. M. Night Shyamalan's A Lady in the Water is one of the all-time worst films, big-budget Hollywood films ever made in history.
Are you going to apologize?
No, because it is. But I have the right to say something like that because in the same breath, I'll also tell you that I love Sixth Sense. I like Signs very much, even though a lot of people didn't.
The end was
Unbreakable,
bad.
Yeah, it is. Unbreakable is one of the grittiest, most real. Forget Batman. Unbreakable is the most realistic, grittiest kind of superhero film ever made. I'll tell you, when Shyamalan does great stuff, which he is capable of, I'll tell you. But when he does crap, I'll say it's crap. And for that type of stuff, no, a film critic should never apologize for their opinion of a film. But we have to be reminded and be big enough to stand up and say and realize when, look, we crossed a line. Saying that you were a child molester for making that film, or that saying that your type of films is the reason why the world hates America, or that type of stuff, yeah, then maybe an apology is needed.
The newest issue of Empire magazine gives us two separate Man of Steel collector's covers. One showing us Henry Cavill as Kal-El, and the other Michael Shannon as General Zod. Amy Rose, now that we've had a few trailers, clips, images, and even an internet viral video of Zod, how are you feeling about Shannon playing the general we're all apparently destined to kneel before?
I kneel before you, Shannon. I've never had any doubt about him. Everything I've seen him in, from Revolutionary Road to Boardwalk, Take Shelter, he is such a wonderful actor with range and depth. And I'm really excited. He's played some quirky and oddball characters, granted, but this is going to take it even further to a villain. And I'm really excited to see him take this off. And I loved the promo video of him just saying, what's up? I'm coming for you. And I'm really excited. I could not be more excited for Man of Steel. And Henry Cavill looks great. In every picture I've seen him in, he is really, hopefully, everything we've wanted Superman to be in more. So let's do this.
Yeah, I think I've always liked the idea of Michael Shannon playing Zod because he's Michael Shannon. Because he's done other stuff, but to me, his performance in Boardwalk Empire is just so enrapturing when I watch him do. He just owns the screen when he's on there. But so I love the idea. It's never a bad idea to recruit talent. So I've liked him playing Zod because I want a good actor playing Zod. But I've never really had a real good, clear idea about, but how do I really feel about him as Zod? Do I think this is going to be a good fit? And it's just been speculation up to this point. Until that viral video came out, that you don't even see his face. It's all static, and he's saying, you have one of my citizens. I want you. The tone in his voice,
so good. The
nuance in the dialogue that he gives, it was cold yet ruthless in this one little bit of text that he read. And at that moment, I started to get a glimpse at Shannon as Zod. I mean, we've seen the pictures, and the pictures look good, but now that we've heard him, I'm seeing him as Zod for the first time, and I'm liking it.
I love it.
And I like that he's not playing the exact same Zod that we got in Superman 2, which was an awesome Zod.
Yeah.
But there's more rage in this Zod that we see in the trailers. And there's more passion in this Zod, and probably more violence. And so I am completely on board with Michael Shannon now. I was happy about it before.
Yeah.
But I'm super stoked about
it. And that
now.
new magazine cover of him just like in all his glory, he looks so badass.
Especially
when
juxtaposed against Henry Cavill as Superman, and the other cover looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, folks, it's that time of the show for Mailbag. What we do, if you want a topic or a question addressed on air, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Once again, that's amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Send in your questions. We get like 100 every day, and every day we pick out a few and we address them on air, and Ashley's got a few of them pulled out. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Thang and Ho writes, "Hey, I recently caught the show on the AMC website and absolutely loved it since. Great information, great opinions, and movie knowledge I was unaware of. Anyway, I'm not sure if you've mentioned this already in the past, but I remember seeing Skyline in 2010 and was rather disappointed, although at the end of the movie they indicated that there's a chance for a second one. Also, same story for I Am Number 4. Do you happen to have any information on that?"
Yeah, they're both dead. That's pretty much the information. I mean, Skyline was a really interesting film because what it wasn't a movie producing studio that made it. It was this privately owned visual effects studio that just realized, hey, we've got all the gear to make a movie on our own. They shot it at the guy's own apartment. They mostly shot it from his roof.
And it looked like that.
But oh my God, the visual effects were... It was visually stunning. It was really, really beautiful, but it was an absolutely dreadful movie. And sure, the end of the film kind of suggests they want to make another one. But remember, just because a movie sets itself up for a sequel, that doesn't mean there's going to be a sequel, because everybody hated it. And if I remember correctly, it made like 21 million domestically.
Which is kind of a lot for a movie like that.
It had a 15% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Yikes. Nobody liked it. Nobody was interested in sequel, so that's not happening. I Am Number 4 is another one of those films where it made like 55 million at the box office, which isn't too bad.
I liked it.
And you and I are a couple of the few people.
I liked it.
We are in the minority because I liked it too. It had its weaknesses. I love Timothy Olyphant in it.
He's great in everything.
And I wanted to see a sequel, but to the best of my knowledge, they realized this didn't sell. We got a bunch of people out to it, but the people who went to see it didn't really like it. We don't think we can make a sequel. And as far as I know, there is no sequel. And honestly, even though I liked it, if I was the head of the studio, I wouldn't greenlight it. Would you, Amy Rose?
I'm kind of mixed. I really did enjoy the movie. I thought it was a great take on it. And Timothy Olyphant, everything he's in, Justified, and The Girl Next Door, he was so good in that movie.
We won't talk about Hitman, but...
Well, whatever. We won't talk about that. But and Alex Pettyfer, I think he's good too. I do. I think he's not only really hot, but I think he's a pretty good actor. And I did enjoy the movie. As a studio, I could see them going either way, but I can't say that the demand for it is so high that they need to get on it right away. But if it was made, I would definitely see it.
Jean-Louise Kabongo writes, Bonjour, AMC. I love your show. It's awesome. The trailer for Iron Man 3, the video game, was released last week. There's a screenshot where you can clearly see a poster of the Oscorp logo. The logo in the trailer is the exact same logo from the Amazing Spider-Man movie in 2012. Now that we know that Sony allowed Gameloft to use their logo for the game, do you think there are some possibilities that Sony and Disney could share their characters?
Okay, look, this comes up a lot, but no. Spider-Man ain't showing up in the Avengers. It's not happening.
But boy, would that be cool.
Look, nobody, no issue. Would I love to be proved wrong more? That, like, how cool would that be? I'll be throwing a party on this show the day we find out I'm wrong about this. But it's not happening. And look, I got so many emails from people, because we talked about this issue before, because they wanted to put the Oscorp building in Avengers. They had planned on it, they had made a deal on it, but the deal got made so late that they couldn't get it rendered in time, and they couldn't put it in the cityscape, so it didn't happen. And I had so many people email me, see, John, see? That's proof that they're going to merge the characters because a building was going to be in the background. No, it's not. I think that's really cool that they allowed little Easter eggs here and there, but that is a far cry from a studio saying, yeah, let's put Spider-Man in the Avengers. That's not happening. One of our watchers actually sent me, and I can't remember the name of the person who did this, but thank you so much. Send me this great example. It's true. I'm going to have Dennis bring up this picture right now. You'll forget that in the Star Trek movies out a couple of years ago, there was an R2-D2 cameo. There was an R2-D2, and we'll bring up the image here. This is a real image. R2-D2 was an Easter egg in a couple of shots, actually, in Star Trek. Well, then that's proof that Luke Skywalker is that Benedict Cumberbatch is actually Luke Skywalker with plastic surgery done. And then, no, obviously not. It was just a cute tip of the hat to the fans. Just because R2-D2 was in a Star Trek Easter egg does not mean they're going to cross the universes. Although, damn, how cool would that be?
So cool.
But in the same way that just because they have an Oscorp building or a logo as an Easter egg in there as a tip of that doesn't mean they're going to merge characters in the universes. They are two completely separate, different things. It's not going to happen. Amy Rose, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same. I mean, they could also have a tip to Stark Industries in Spider-Man
yes.
with Electro. I
yes.
mean, there's a lot of fun little things they could do with that. All your points were very true. And also, in terms of game and film, coming from IGN, the gaming side, they're very different licensing things.
Yeah.
They really are. Even though, the Iron Man film and games, you might think that they work together, they're completely different teams on them. So while you might obtain the rights here for the game, you still might not for the film. They work very, very differently. So, I mean, the dream of any Marvel fan is to see all our characters in one universe. My God, that would be amazing. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I want to see, to quote Patton Oswalt, I want to see Wolverine and Sabretooth fighting robot Chewbacca. That's what I want to see.
Isaiah G writes, hey guys, been watching the show for a while now and I love it. Anyway, my question was, since J. Jonah Jameson has not been cast yet in this new Spider-Man universe, do you think that the newly cast BJ Novak could be playing Jameson? Granted, I love J.K. Simpson as Jameson, but I could see Novak as Jameson. What do you guys think?
I think that's interesting. I also loved JK. I just think he's exactly what I imagined Jameson to be. Like, the mustache and sarcastic and witty and just like very in your face, and I thought he did a really good job. And he wasn't even a pivotal character. They definitely made him more minor. But I do think that Novak could prove to be him. I would miss the stash, but he's a little younger. But I think that could be an enlightened choice. He's a good actor. Why not? And that is kind of an important role, even though it is minor. It is one that all us fans love and know. And from the pictures, he is looking rather studios. I did think that he was going to be more a member of like Oscorp. Like that's everything I've kind of read, but again, misdirection. We don't really know what's true until they confirm it. But I do think he'd be an interesting Jameson. What do you think, John?
This is how good J.K. Simmons was as J. Jonah Jameson. Whenever you do a reboot or anything, I am like, no, you just recast everybody. You don't bring other people back if it's a reboot. I would have made an exception for J.K. Simmons to come back. I mean, that was...
He's perfect.
He was J. Jonah Jameson.
He's perfect.
Once again, my philosophy, everybody's replaceable, and I'm okay that they're replacing him, but if I was ever going to make an exception to that rule, I would have made it there. And this may shock you that I'm going to say this. I'm okay with changing actors. I don't care if one actor was fat and one's skinny, or one's black, one's white, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah.
One's female, one's male.
Exactly, yes. I don't care. As long as... the character still embodies the key essential elements to who the character is. And in a situation like this, the old gruff newsman, J. Jonah Jameson, that's a key essential element to who J. Jonah Jameson is. Mm-hmm. The old, seasoned, gruffed, jaded newsman.
Yeah.
And B.J. Novak, to me, like, I think you're right. I think he's more of an Oscorp guy in this.
That's what it feels like.
But I also, so I don't think he's J. Jonah, but I also really hope he's not J. Jonah, because that goes against, even though he's a white Caucasian male, he does not embody those key essential elements to who the character is. And so, I'm okay with, Morpheus playing Perry White, because being black or white in that instance isn't an essential key character, but being an old, gruff, jaded newsman is, and I don't think I can have a 28-year-old dude playing J. Jonah. Just me.
He's a really good actor and potentially, but it's just so hard to follow that act.
He
was so good.
So good.
It'll be really interesting to see. And he does feel more like an Oscorp. So we'll see.
Agreed.
We'll see.
Leslie Clark writes, I believe there is a lot of source material in the comics that hasn't been used by the studios in making these movies. It is only recent that the concept of Bane breaking Batman's back was used in The Dark Knight Rises. That is the exception to the rule. So far, Superman has not encountered Doomsday, giving rise to the Legion of Superman, nor have we seen Azrael after Bruce Wayne gives up the cape and cowl. What do you think is best for me? Should I flood Warner Brothers with emails letting them know my thoughts, or do I sit at home waiting for one of these reboots to get it right?
Passionate question, Leslie. First of all, we'd love to think that there's somebody at Warner Brothers who patiently sits down and reads through all the fan email that comes in. Nope, doesn't happen. So you can send all the email you want. They ain't reading a single one. There's a great quote. I think it's Bill Parcells, coach of the Super Bowl winning New York Giants. And a reporter asked him once about, should a coach listen to the fans? Should they listen to the input and the advice that they get from the fans? And Bill Parcells said this. He said, a coach who listens to the fans is destined to be sitting with them next year. In other words, you won't be able to do your job if you listen to the fans. And because they're the coaches, they're the experts, they know what they're doing. And the movie studios have the same philosophy that, look, if we listen to fans, we're going to make horrible movies. And that's true.
Not fully.
Yeah, it's true. So here's the thing about where you're coming from with this, though. When you're talking specifically about Azrael and like Doomsday, well, remember, there's only been one Superman movie since Doomsday came about in the comic books, and that was Superman Returns. And you can't do a Doomsday in your first Superman film. That is something you keep in your pocket. That's something you build up to.
Yeah.
Because how are we going to have our hearts broken about the death of Superman if we haven't gotten to know Superman yet, So Doomsday is something they should do, but it's something they should do in like 3 or 4 movies from now. Maybe Doomsday is a Justice League villain. Maybe that's something you could do for Justice League. But you got to keep that in your pocket. You can't just, pop your load on the first film that you do with a guy like Doomsday. Now, with Azrael, man, you can't do Azrael because nobody cares about Azrael. Look, I am a huge fan of the Nightfall series, where Bane breaks Batman's back. Batman turns to Jean-Paul to take on the mantle of the Bat, who was known as Azrael, and he became Batman for a while Bruce Wayne was healing up. But then Jean-Paul went a little bit crazy and started killing people, and then he beat the crap out of Robin, and then Bruce Wayne had to come back from his broken back, beat the crap out of Jean-Paul, and take back the mantle of the Bat. Yes, great story, but You have to adapt that for a movie. You can't, because nobody cares. And I'll tell you what, nobody thinks about this. The bigger story, I'm going off on a big geek tangent here. The real story of Nightfall and that whole series wasn't about Azrael. To me, at the heart of it, it was about the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. There's this great little scene in this follow-up. I'm going way off on a trail here. I'm sorry. There's this magnificent scene where finally Bruce is back. Grayson's been Batman for a while as Bruce has been getting acclimated. Of course, Dick Grayson was the original Robin. And Dick Grayson, who's now Nightwing, you know, he finally goes up to Bruce and says, why did you not come to me? Why did you go to this outsider, Jean-Paul, this Azrael? Why did you go to him? Why didn't you come to me? You know, I'm your heir. I'm this big thing. And they have this big, long conversation, and it ultimately ends with Bruce saying, I guess there are always issues between fathers and sons. Tear. Okay, now, that's the thing. You can't do Azrael without having an entire thing of Dick Grayson as Robin, growing up, becoming Nightwing, moving on, having problems and rifts with Bruce. Bruce then getting his back broken. Azrael coming in being Batman instead of Dick Grayson. The animosity that grows from that. You can't do that in one movie. That is like a 6-movie arc. You can't do it. And just because, once again, my whole preaching pulpit thing is, just because something works and is beautiful and is magnificent on a printed page in a comic book does not necessarily mean that story will translate automatically well onto the big screen. Look, you and I have a deep history of reading Batman. We understand the history of Dick Grayson and Robin and all that kind of stuff, and how it played into the conflict about why Bruce didn't go to Dick to become Batman instead of Jean-Paul and all that kind of crap. But the average movie-going audience doesn't. So it wouldn't work unless you built it up over like 6 or 7 films. And so studios have to do what they think will work best on screen in a 2-hour film and will appeal to a mass-wide audience. Just because it's great in the comic book doesn't mean it'll be great in a movie. I've gone on way too long on this topic. Amy Rose, you got any thoughts on this?
I definitely think, I mean, that's why it's so important that someone who loves the comics are involved with the films. That's why it's so important. And we've talked so many times on the show that liberties are taken because it does have to appeal to the wide audience.
Work in a 2-hour movie as opposed to a 5-year comic span. Yeah.
And not have so many questions that the people that read the comics don't know. Yeah. That they just assume, you know, that we would understand. But how happy were you when Bane lifted up Batman? That was such an awesome, iconic scene, and I was so happy to see it. I really do think more, you know, scenes like that, tips of the hat, whatever, to the people that have been with this franchise and comic books for so long, it would make us so happy. But it is true. If you don't explain the whole backstory and development, it's not going to make sense to a lot of people. With that said, I really do think Doomsday should be in the third. I mean, we should start seeing a little bit, like, up to this point, and then the third one, kill him off, obviously. Yeah. But I just think that it would be so cool to see that showdown and just to see where it goes. We know they're going to keep rebooting Superman because it's going to be awesome. But I do think that is a really pivotal character, obviously. And I think it would be really, really cool to see the evolution of it and start taking the liberties now and just introducing it.
At some point, you have to come to Doomsday.
You have to.
You have to. But going back to the email itself, nobody wants to see the Legion of Supermen. No, nobody wants to see the Kryptonian and the Superboy clone and the new Steel and the Cyborg. Nobody wants to see these guys. Do you know that they were so bad? Those characters are so bad that made DC increase or shorten the timeline on when they actually brought the real Superman back, because they had this great idea. We're going to have all these Supermen popped up, the Kryptonian, the Cyborg, all that kind of stuff. And everybody's wondering who's the real Superman. But everybody rejected them so hard that they just kind of got rid of and brought the real Superman back. So I don't think anybody wants to see the Legion of Superman. I know, I don't.
I do want to see it eventually.
Really? Really? You want to see the Kryptonian and Steel and... Maybe Shaquille O'Neal can come back and play it again, too.
No, I don't. I just want Superman all the time, every moment. I want more.
All right, folks, well, listen, we've gone way over time. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, listen, while I've got you, stop what you're doing and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It will keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news and, of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And go out and see a movie tonight. There's films like Oblivion and a whole bunch of others that are playing right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this show so you can listen to us on your commute to work, look in the description of this video. You'll see links to our iTunes and our Stitcher Radio. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our very lovely host, Miss Ashley Mova.
Thanks, guys.
The wonderful associate editor of movie news here at AMC Movie News, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you.
And thank you to you guys. Listen, the most important part of this show is not what we have to say. It's irrelevant. The most important part is what you have to say. Make sure you jump down to the comments section, leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. So, until tomorrow, thanks for joining us. My name is John Campea for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.